Hi, I'm Lauren MacCready, and this is my Welcome Back to School Open House Remote e-learning presentation for 2020. So let's jump into it. So this is kind of the stereotypical screen that students will see when they come in from the waiting room on Zoom. This is our general learning targets for the day, which is what I want them to know by the end of our 75 minutes together. And then the agenda is more of an itemized to-do list. So this is basically a reflection, a daily reflection of the unit calendar that they have at the beginning of each unit, as well as the same calendar that's on the home page of Canvas when they log in. So who am I? As I said, I'm Lauren MacCready. I went to Loyola University Chicago for my bachelor's. I'm currently actually at Columbia right now getting my master's in curriculum and instruction. So I know what it's like to be an e-learning student at the same time, so I can empathize with the students, and hopefully that makes me an even better e-learning teacher because of it. Know the struggle. I currently teach 3 sections of AP US History. This is my 5th year teaching it. I also teach 2 sections of civics. So I teach civics first and second hour, and A-push, what we call A-push, is 6th, 7th, and 8th, meaning that my free periods to meet with students or parents is periods 3, 4, and 5, as well as the VP time before school or anytime after school. Very close with my family, so my students hear a lot of stories about them. Favorite shows, The Office, Game of Thrones, and Friends, so I shamelessly promote those in all of my PowerPoints with funny pictures. Love to travel, love to hear about like places the students have been. It gives me ideas, especially during this pandemic. It's nice to live vicariously through other people's stories. And then all in the last few years, I got married, got a house, got that little dog in the corner, Riley. So a lot of good stuff in the works. So how the College Board has broken up our curriculum that we're beholden to. There are 9 time periods that we call. They're not equal in length to each other. So we've already actually finished the first one, which is more about Native American cultures prior to European colonization, all the way up into essentially Trump's election is the last chapter in the current AMSCO textbook that the students have. So it really covers everything, but we chunk it based on how the College Board chunks it, and that is how we reflect our units. There are 8 themes, which are just different lenses of how to use or how to view history. They could be political, economic, environmental, social, things of that nature. So we use those to kind of pick apart and analyze different events, developments, what have you. And then there are overarching skills that students need to build throughout the semester that will all be assessed on the AP test. And that could be stimulus-based questions, which are multiple choice questions where there's a stimulus like a political cartoon or an excerpt they have to understand to be able to answer the question. What we call a short answer question, which are short time-minute writings that are basically, can you present evidence and analyze all within 10 minutes. And then we have a document-based question, which is essentially a research essay that students write within 45 minutes, where the College Board has given them all of the research, all of these 7 primary sources up front, and they need to read them all, digest them, make sense of them, and then construct an argumentative paper out of them. Definitely the most difficult challenge, but that's the one we practice the most. And the other one is a long essay question, which is 45 minutes of students getting just a prompt with no other background information, and they just have to write on it. So a lot of it is evaluating sources and argumentative writing. On Canvas, which is our central hub, you will find period calendars or unit calendars. At the top, it has the College Board key concepts. So this is what the College Board wants our learning targets for that entire unit to be. So we really emphasize those to the kids. Everything that we do is led back to one of the key concepts, whether it's homework or an activity, an assessment question, everything is linked back to the key concepts. We have for each chapter in AMSCO, because there's so much information that is offered in each chapter, we have a study guide for each chapter, along with the relevant vocab that we want them to know. So we've kind of trimmed down the vocab in the textbook, made more of a need to know list, and created like a top 10 questions that you should have gotten out of this chapter. Students find that very helpful. There's a high correlation of students doing those and using that vocab list to doing well on our tests. I also have chapter note guides, which is like a reading guide. So especially with having an e-textbook instead of a hard copy, which students can purchase a hard copy if they'd like. I gave them directions on how to do that. But Sometimes it's a little hard that way. You know, they don't really know how to take notes or annotate outside of the book when they don't have it in front of them. And so I have reading guides, like structured reading guides that correspond with each chapter, also available on Canvas, as well as review Kahoot games that are available at the start of each unit to help review for the assessment at the end of each unit, and videos that are available on Canvas as well. So I did emphasize to the students that just because, you know, on top of this class already being one of the most challenging AP courses available, it will be more difficult with an e-learning setting. We have less time together, but the test covers the exact same amount of material and skills. And so I emphasize that this semester or possibly this year, however long we are in just a different setting, that it does require a little bit more effort and push from the students. And I share with them how, you know, LTs had very successful APUS history scores for years. I'm very proud that even after all the pandemic, my student scores last year, even though we didn't work together for the last 3 months, their scores were just as high as ever, which I was very proud of. And so because our students statistically always score very high, that they should trust in what I'm doing, that I'm going to push them in everything that I do is meaningful. I will never give them fluff because, one, I don't want to grade it, and then it's just a waste of both of our time. So I try to have that buy-in with them on the first day of school. They also will be enrolling in a online portal through College Board called MyAP. We will use that to do progress checks, you know, quick quizzes here and there, or sometimes our actual assessments at the end of the unit. And there's also more study resources available on there. So all students should have already enrolled using this code in the first week of school. Students must declare their intent to take the test or to not take the test and pay for each test at the LTHS web store by November 6th. There is a late fee past that day. It jacks up to $134. You can cancel up to March 13th was the deadline last year. We don't know if they have changed it this year. They haven't specified that date yet, but you only get about half of the money that you paid. We also went over Zoom expectations with students on the first day. That could be anything from muting your mic when you're not speaking, you know, being in front of the camera, having your camera on, being present, being focused, using breakout rooms when we send them into small group breakout rooms, using that time effectively and wisely, and you're being on task, knowing that I can jump in at any moment into the breakout room, using our chat feature wisely and respectfully, how to ask questions, especially if I can't see everyone on the same screen at the same time. And so far they've been pretty, you know, great about it. So I have no concerns as of right now. That is an icebreaker that we had students do on the very first day. The only thing that I haven't mentioned yet that I want to emphasize is how students will be graded this semester, actually this year, because of LT's new grading policy. So only summative assessments, which is a fancy term of saying unit assessments, can count towards a student's final grade. That means daily homework or activities or practice cannot count towards the final grade. Now, that doesn't mean it's not important, because obviously in order to understand what we're doing and participate in class each day, they need to keep up with that work. And so this is the first year that we're kind of having this struggle with students as they're adjusting to those grading changes. And so we want to make sure that that motivation stays up, that they see the value in this daily practice, even though it doesn't count towards their final grade. So the only things that are recorded in the grade book are what we call formatives, which are ungraded practice that are aligned with our summative assessments at the end of each unit. So at the end of each unit, students do a vocab quiz. They do a short answer question, like what's on the AP test, and multiple choice questions that are stimulus based, just like on the AP test. And so at some point in every unit, we will practice all three of those. And the practice will be recorded in the grade book, but not count towards the final grade, right next to the summative or the final unit test that does count for a grade in the grade book. So they will be grouped by skill, so you can see the progression and which one's counted for a grade or not. You can tell because the ungraded ones say practice in the title and have an asterisk, meaning that they're not included in the final grade calculation. So, and as well, on top of that, we have a new retake policy. Students can retake any of the summative assessments at any point within 2 weeks after getting their grade back. As long as they completed all the formatives up to this point and completed a unit reflection, they can come in and earn at least one retake for each assessment with me. If you would like more information about that, I can definitely answer any questions, but there's also an explanation handout called the retake policy handout under general course documents under my Canvas page. the top module. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions, and please encourage your students to reach out to me if they have any questions or need any help. I'm more than happy to meet one-on-one with students individually on Zoom, but I think especially in the e-learning format, they're a little bit more hesitant to reach out because it feels a little bit more distance, and so I'm trying to bridge that gap. You know, right in the beginning, I've already had several one-on-one Zooms with students who are struggling or wanted to go over their first test. And I think students feel like that they're the only one who's doing that. So please encourage them to kind of break that mold and get comfortable reaching out to me if they have any questions or concerns. It can be email. If they're having computer issues, I can go on the phone in the office, or we can do one-on-one Zooms, whatever they feel most comfortable with. So please encourage them to reach out to me if they need it. But other than that, I look forward to hearing from all of you eventually. Hopefully we can be back in the classroom, you know, once everything is safe and healthy for us. But I look forward to meeting, you know, you all, getting through your kids more and having a great semester. So have a nice day.